good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to our live for the month of June. How is everyone? Let us know in the comments. Please like, share, and spread this live to others who may be interested in wildlife and One Health. My name is Gian.
Hi guys, hope everybody's having a good day. And as Jen mentioned, welcome to our June Wildlife Ambassador Program live, just like we do every month. We have some great topics for you guys today. We're going to discuss some important zoonotic diseases, of course, our recent patients, both intakes, releases, and transfers here at the clinic this month, as well as a little bit about fire safety, road safety, and some other topics as well. So yeah, if you guys also have any questions regarding highly pathogenic avian influenza or HPAI, we're going to be getting into that in just a few towards the beginning of today's live stream. So do feel free to comment those questions and we'll address those as well. I guess to start off, we have our regular intro song here from Basie, the One Health song.
Basie, icon. Yeah. Listen me. Listen me, feature. Spread the one that took the paper across the region. Listen me, feature. Listen me. Listen me News would like to introduce you to this brand new concept. One health, one Caribbean, one love. One health, one Caribbean, one love. Together we're strong. One health, one Caribbean, one love. Together we're strong. One health are the brand new concept to fight virus and diseases. Calling all of the various doctors, let's work together to achieve this. Human doctor, animal doctor, the environmental doctor. Each one an important factor. The public health have a brand new chapter. A good example of chickpea. Even if it don't hurt you, then it still hurt me. If you check the process, you will see it move from the environment to animal, then to we. First from the egg in the water, then from the water to the mosquito, then from the mosquito it goes straight to the people. But if we work together, then it leads to one health, one Caribbean, one love. Together we're strong. One health, one Caribbean, one love. Together we're strong. One health is not just for people with medical occupation. It is for the entire population. So we need everyone cooperation across the region. Improve food security, better solid waste management and water purity. Protect the habitat for you and me, for the animals on the land and the fish in the sea. One Caribbean, one love. Together we're strong. One health, one Caribbean, one love. Together we're strong. Listen me. Enough respect to One Health leaders. 12 countries across the region. To a health the Caribbean, them a leaders. Let me list out the island: Jamaica, Grenada, Guyana, Belize, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Suriname, Barbados, Dominica, Trinidad, Tobago, Haiti, Antigua. One health, one Caribbean, one love. Together we're strong. One health, one Caribbean, one love. Together we're strong. One health, one Caribbean, one love. Together we're strong. One health, one Caribbean, one love. Together we're strong.
That's our One Health song by BC. You can find it on YouTube. Um, Guys, if you're watching, please let us know if you can hear us. Might have a little bit of an audio issue, but I see it's working. It might be a little low, or maybe when I bring it closer, it might work. But do let us know if you hear us well. Um, to start things off, we're gonna be mentioning our trivia questions for today. Uh, so we're gonna be going over those, and you can comment at any point in the live. Hopefully, we will talk about these topics, but hopefully, you can speak up. You can answer them before they are spoken of. Right. So let's get our trivia questions for today up.
All right, and we'll get those put in the comment section in just a moment for your guys' reference. But as usual, we have two trivia questions today. Do feel free to answer. Your participation counts and is very much appreciated. So our first question for today would be, how does highly pathogenic avian influenza spread? What is its mode of transmission? How does it go from one bird to another? Yeah, so if you guys know the answer to that, feel free to comment. Otherwise, we will be covering that later on in the live, so you guys can always comment after that. But extra points for any who can comment before we get to that section. And our second question would be, list 3 guidelines for responsibly managing fires. We've seen a lot of burns lately, not as bad as some years. We're going to get into a whole section on that lately. But there's some good rules of thumb that you want to follow when burning fires. I won't give away any of those just yet, but yeah, if you know any, list 3 of those in the comments section, and yeah, do feel free to participate.
All right. So moving on, we will remind you about our Wildlife Ambassador Program Conference and Wildlife Hero Awards 2026 that will be happening at the San Ignacio Resort Hotel. This is open to all ambassadors from any of the phases since 2022 to present, right? So there will be you will get to network and meet other ambassadors. You will have several informative and educational talks throughout that day. We have nice food from the San Ignacio Resort Hotel. So yeah, save the date. It's October 3rd, 2026. And yeah, we have a nomination QR code, and I will be showing that a little bit bigger here. Nominate your wildlife hero, right? So if you know of a wildlife hero that is an ambassador, please do nominate them now, so that we can start the process of preparing them for the conference, right? So far, we have 2 nominations. We have Mr. Craig and Miss Stephanie Dawson's. These are in fact re-nominations, which also count. So if you know about anyone else, please do uh, fill out the link that will be posted on the comment section. All right.
That link is in the comments. Again, guys, it's going to be a great event. We're going to have some interactive activities, interesting topics, and like Jan mentioned, it's going to be a great opportunity for networking with other ambassadors. Again, we do follow the One Health approach, and bringing in people from all different sectors and walks of life is key to the success of that. So, yeah, let's all be a part of it and make your nominations. So next, we're going to get right into our zoonosis section. We have two interesting zoonotic diseases two interesting diseases to talk about today. One of them actually is luckily not transmissible to humans, but we do have one of very high concern and high attention here and across the world, which is highly pathogenic avian influenza. So now I'll ask Dr. Isabel to join us, and we do have some questions, but again, like I mentioned earlier, guys, if you have any questions, if there's anything that you want to know that we don't cover right now, do please feel free to put those in the comment section and we'll address them as well. Mm. So good day, Dr. Isabel.
There. Thanks for joining us online and ready to talk about some diseases.
All right. To start things off, maybe Dr. I, you can tell us, for people who don't know or have heard this for the first time, what exactly are we talking about when we say highly pathogenic avian influenza, and why it's such a long name?
Yes. So that's a really good question, and there is a lot of, or it gets complicated. No, we have avian influenza, which is very, very widespread and very variable, let's say it that way. And there is different parts to this virus and different levels of how severe the disease gets. And the HPAI stands for highly pathogenic avian influenza, and that means it causes a lot of damage, meaning a very high mortality, meaning high percentage of animals infected will die. And it's also very contagious in a lot of animals, or anybody that's exposed has a high chance of catching it. So when you hear avian influenza, it does not mean HPAI, and it requires multiple levels of testing, actually. The first step is to confirm that it is avian influenza, and then it goes through two more steps to confirm that it is actually highly pathogenic. And then thereafter goes the typing of which specific subtype of the virus is it. So that's a lengthy answer.
Okay.
Hopefully it explains it more or less.
I think it does. Yeah.
So the reason that we're bringing up HPAI today is it's been around in the headlines for several years now. It's affected countries across the globe. But recently, I know that we've had two very nearby outbreaks right over in Honduras. Actually, in a part of Honduras, not too far from us, too.
Yes.
So, why does a report of HPAI in wild birds in Honduras matter to Belize? And why does it matter even though we currently don't have any local cases?
Yes. Another good question. So first of all, we have not had a case of HPAI in Belize, which is definitely fantastic. We had shared on our social media about 2 weeks ago, give or take, that first there was this outbreak of HPAI. So it had already gone through the entire testing and was confirmed by the World Organization for Animal Health as the highly pathogenic type in vultures. And the big concern is this occurs in wild birds. It can affect poultry. And the biggest concern to us as humans is that it also has a propensity to mutate, and it can jump to humans and can have severe consequences in humans. So that is why this disease in general is under very close observation. And after the first case in the vultures, now 5 days ago, again, give or take, my days are a little blurry these days. We did get the confirmation from the World Organization for Animal Health that HPAI, so the highly pathogenic version, was confirmed in a commercial poultry farm. So that's why it's in the news, and we should be aware of it here in Belize because it's just across the border from us. And as I've heard many people state already, diseases know no borders, especially those that are spread by wild birds.
And I'm just showing the map there of the three outbreaks that are almost on the border of Honduras and Guatemala, of which it's very, very close to Belize, no? So
Yeah.
hence the concern.
Yeah, they were doing very extensive door-to-door monitoring, checking all the farms in the areas of these outbreaks. And for about 10 days or so, give or take. It was not found in any poultry farms, but that is very concerning that it has made that jump over in Honduras. And yeah, we can all really follow some stringent guidelines to keep our local poultry safe, as well as monitoring for wildlife. So that brings us to our next question, and that would be, how does HPAI usually move through wild bird populations? And how does it spill over into backyard poultry or commercial poultry farming even?
Through contact. And the contact can be through aerosol, which again is highly concerning because that's very easy way of spreading at times. It can spread from direct contact between wild birds and poultry and or humans. And it can also spread through feces and urine and secretions. And those can aerosolize and transmit the virus indirectly as well without contact with the animal. Yeah.
It's very concerning, especially when we do think about these wild populations that, like you mentioned, know no borders.
Yes, and in wildlife, it shows sometimes differently than it does in domestic animals. And not all wild birds get very sick. Again, HPAI is pretty complicated. It starts as just avian influenza and then it mutates to the highly pathogenic version. And so the wild birds may move it around, but it's also spread with animal transportation. So it's extremely important to have movement controls implemented. And I think you had found some really good advice, little slides that we should share with our audience as well. That was actually made by veterinarians from Australia, giving some recommendations as to what people can do as individual pet owners for your pet birds to stay safe, as poultry owners, and then as well as humans. If we were to ever encounter any wild birds, it's probably that are sick or dead. Probably the most important safety measure is to not touch, because that's how it would most likely spread. So we shall definitely share those slides as well.
Yes, we're sharing them right now, and we will definitely be adding those to our Facebook page as well, just to kind of spread the awareness. And a big thank you to the Unusual Pet Vets for allowing us to use their infographics for this time as well. Great content and great ways to protect both your pets and your livestock as well, guys. So would really recommend checking those out, as well as checking any other local guidelines. And of course, knowing the relevant authorities here in Belize to report any suspicious cases too.
All right. So, Dr. I, what would be some warning signs that the public should watch out? You know, like if it ever, God forbid, it comes to Belize, but what would be some of these warning signs or things that we should watch out in either wild or domestic birds that could point towards a suspicion of highly pathogenic avian influenza?
Right. So first, warning signs can be subtle. General clinical signs to expect would be either respiratory, so meaning difficulty breathing, secretions, and or neurologic, with them behaving abnormally, being very dull and not really responsive. Um, Most commonly, the first thing that people will notice in commercial poultry production will be a decrease in production. And then it will start with some deaths, and it will often quickly turn into multiple deaths, so die-offs. And the same can apply in wildlife. It can be a single case, but oftentimes it starts by multiple deaths appearing somewhere. And then again, most important rule is do not touch. There was an outbreak again in Germany last year, and it got into the wild cranes, and they would literally drop from the skies dead and were reported by multiple people all over the place, investigated, and it was indeed HPAI that was killing them, sadly. So die-offs are often the first thing that really makes the alarms go off. But before that, you may see these respiratory signs or neurologic signs, or just a decrease in production.
All right, so lots of key things to watch out for.
Yeah, it's not that easy. The early signs can be confused easily with other things. As soon as many animals start dying, it's usually pretty obvious that there is something highly alarming. But key is being vigilant early and not touching and immediately reporting. So not touching and immediately reporting so that it does get responded to with proper biosecurity and testing so that it does not spread any further. Because I don't know if that was in your questions, the impact of the poultry industry is humongous.
Yes.
Detection, reporting, and control measures are really, really important to prevent that from happening.
Yeah, I do not remember the figures at the moment, but I know that the amount of birds that have had to be culled due to this disease is
Yes.
gigantic amount.
Oh yeah, I see. That is the question.
Yeah, so that would lead into our next question. What are some important biosecurity steps for people who raise poultry, be it small production, be it huge production with thousands of animals, like the one in Honduras, right? That's really concerning. But what would be so important biosecurity steps that they should take?
In the nutshell, avoiding any contact between wild birds and poultry, having strict biosecurity measures that don't allow wild birds or their droppings to make any contact with the poultry or the poultry food and water that goes in there. Then there's other things, as in not introducing new animals to a big flock throughout, but that's, I think, generally not how poultry is raised here anyways. It's all in and all out at one time. But introducing new birds, so in backyard flocks, that can happen. When you get new birds, keep them separate at first. Don't introduce them.
Definitely. I saw some recommendations even saying to have like a designated pair of footwear for your poultry.
Yes, yes. Biosecurity does not just apply to keeping the birds and wild birds or poultry and the wild birds separate, but also for humans, not to carry this on fomites, on things that they have on their boots into their flocks. Changing footwear. If there is an outbreak, everything gets a lot stricter, and you should change your clothes before going in, etc. It gets a little bit like high security.
And movement controls are put into place at that point.
Yes, that is. Movement controls are always very complicated for the industry, of course, because animals can't be taken anywhere usually, and the monitoring around it, as well as culling of the other animals to prevent spreading, is huge impact.
All right. Well, that will take us into our next question. What is the real risk to people right now, to humans specifically, aside from, I guess, I mean, there's always the risk of losing your investment. But aside from that, and who tends to be at the highest risk of exposure? I think we briefly touched on both of those things.
Yeah. I would think highest risk would be to farmers, who may be the ones that experience the first outbreak and then have large numbers of infected birds. The more of the virus we have around, the more of a risk there is that one of the mutations of this virus that likes to mutate a lot will affect humans and will jump into humans. And then the consequences are to be determined, but there is the possibility that it can have a very, very high mortality in humans. So, meaning that many of the humans that actually contract it die from it.
Scary stuff.
It's scary stuff, but at this time it is said there is no immediate risk for humans from this outbreak yet. There is no known human infections, but we better be careful because, of course, this whole process takes a while to determine too. And you see, it started a few weeks ago with the vultures. Now it's in the first poultry farms. There is two more vulture cases that are not yet confirmed as HPAI, but this will likely spread. And the more it spreads, the more that risk of human exposure and the spillover into humans increases.
Yes. Certainly makes it a
So we don't want no
important
panic,
health
but we
issue.
want people to be aware and to be careful.
So can other animals catch this disease?
Yes.
Other wildlife,
Yes.
pets? Interesting. So, like Max said, right, it's a very strong One Health issue, right?
Right. So what role would surveillance and early reporting play in controlling this risk?
Yeah, that's like I just mentioned a moment ago. If this gets caught on the doorsteps, then it can hopefully be controlled. Once this spreads in our poultry industry, that industry will be devastated entirely. Um, so that's the importance of surveillance. So reporting any deaths, not touching and reporting immediately so that this can get investigated and detected before it gets into any commercial production. And once it gets in there, again, early reporting will be what can keep part of the country at least up and running. Because as people can also read in the article that we should link up, the general is that there's a 5 kilometer and a 10 kilometer radius drawn around where the outbreak is. So again, that gives you an idea how far it will reach. One poultry farm in Spanish Lookout will shut down the entire town. But if it gets detected and reported early on, it can prevent it from getting into the other poultry production. So not moving anything as soon as there is any suspicion. Yeah.
All right. And who would be the reporting authority here?
Belize Agricultural Health Authority, so BAHA, and we should put their number in the chat there as well. And in doubt, do call us and send us pictures so that we can determine what it is, what it looks like, what the species is, and we, of course, immediately report any suspicion of avian influenza to BAHA. We have, over the past 3-4 years since this outbreak started coming closer to us, sent in a number of potentially suspicious animals to them for testing, all of which so far have come back negative. But they are the authority. We can take the call, help triage, and transfer as well if you have any doubts if what you see could be that or it could be something else.
All right. So very, very good information spoken today, but a little bit long. If our viewers for today need to remember one thing from this entire discussion, what would that be?
If you see dead birds, maybe call us or call the authorities. Maybe call us and we will help determine if that is, because every dead bird maybe would be a lot to send a call. But do not touch. That would be the one. And do tell. Do not touch and do tell so that we can protect both humans as well as commercial poultry production from this disease.
All right.
Very good.
All right. Thanks for that information. We recently participated in an African swine fever um, training. Could you tell us just a couple of words on that? I think it's high priority that well, the country is Baha did this training. So just a couple of words on that, maybe.
Yes, thanks so much. So this is not a zoonotic disease. It only affects pigs, but it affects pigs so severely that again, it's a globally reportable disease for the World Animal Health Organization because the mortality in pig populations can reach up to 100%, meaning up to 100% of the pigs die. It's African swine fever. It's a viral infection originally found first in Africa, but it has been causing a lot of losses in Europe for quite a few years and has reached the Caribbean now 4 or 5 years ago with Haiti and the Dominican Republic. And their pork industry has not yet recovered from this disease because it's very resistant in the environment. So it has two parts of the One Health triad. It does not impact humans as a disease, but it impacts humans by the economic losses because it basically destroys the entire pork industry because it is highly, highly, highly contagious, survives in the environment and in pork products for an extremely long time, up to 3 years, which makes it very important for people not to bring in pork products from any countries that have this disease.
I remember you mentioned that even like salted and brine products it can persist.
Yeah.
Which is just crazy to me.
Yeah. The disease is important because it's highly fatal for pigs and it's highly contagious and highly resistant.
Mm-hmm.
So thanks once more to Ika and Baha who put together a training for parts of the industry, veterinarians and technicians this week.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Dr. I. I think these stuffs are really important to talk about because imagine a big hit on both our poultry and pork industries. That would be
Terrible.
crazy for Belize, no? But this is why we like to talk about these things, so raise awareness, so that you can be monitoring for these things as well. You can do your part in watching out.
Definitely.
All right. So thanks again to Dr. I for sharing about these diseases with us, and we'll quickly move on to our other topics that we have for today.
Yes. So I'll be doing our recent intakes here at BWRC in just a moment. But I also just wanted to mention if there were any questions that we didn't address through our discussion with Dr. I about either African swine fever or about highly pathogenic avian influenza, you can always message us, you can always comment your questions, and we will get back to you. Again, guys, this is super important to monitor for, so let's all play our part and be as careful as we can when it comes to stopping these diseases from crossing our borders. All right, so on into our intakes for the month of June. I think a few from the very end of May that since our last live, but it's been another busy month for intakes here at BWRC. We've had quite a few. I don't recall the exact number of patients that we have at the moment, but I know that we're at very high capacity at 58. Okay. And our animal care team is, yeah, all hands on deck at the moment. So yeah, amongst our intakes, we've had 12 coatis recently, 12 of our white-nosed coatis, which I think everybody here in Belize knows, locally known as quash. So we got 8 of those transferred from the Belize Zoo as people brought them in and dropped them off there. We got 2 from our longtime supporters, the DeBoer family. They called us because they saw two baby coatis along the side of the road, and we believe that their mother might have been injured by a vehicle, killed by a vehicle actually. But these two were brought into us at BWRC. And we also had two more come in just this week. So again, it's been a very busy year with coatis especially, lots of coatis, lots of common opossums, lots of Yucatan squirrels. Those are probably our three most common frequent patients. We also had two boas come in. One of them was actually called in from the just about the center of Belmopan in the Mayamopan area, along that creek that runs back there. And this was a pretty huge boa, especially considering it was found right in the middle of town. But luckily its injuries were not too bad and it was released just a few days later. We had another boa come in, a much smaller one that unfortunately did not make it. So yeah, those were our two snakes of the month. We had one furrowed wood turtle come in, two more common opossums, taking our total number up into the 30s. Four more Yucatan squirrels, again one of our most frequent patients here at BWRC. We had two ferruginous pygmy owls, which are our smallest owls here in Belize. You guys might have seen these on social media. And sad reality of the work we do here at BWRC, mortality is something that we have to contend with. Neither of these owls were able to make it. One of them was actually injured by a glue trap, and the other was shot with a pellet gun. So just a quick word on glue traps. If you do use them, I know they can be a useful way to deal with pests, but you do really want to make sure that they're in an area that only the target pests can get to them. Only rats can be caught. Because it's always really sad to lose our wildlife to these traps when we're just trying to get rid of pests. We had three white-fronted Amazon parrots come in that were later transferred. And then we had one each. We had a very bird heavy week at one point. We had a northern putu come in, as well as a boat-billed heron, a juvenile greyhawk, which actually Gianna and some other members of the team found on the way home. And the greyhawk was a great story because she was actually transferred to the Raptor Center and later released. Here you can see how she came to us versus an amazing photo from the Raptor Center of her release. We also had a green iguana come in, a olive-throated parakeet, a narrow-bridged musk turtle, which is probably one of the least frequent turtle species that we see here at BWRC. We also had a white-winged dove. A snowy egret was transferred to us by ACEs. Again, thanks to them and thanks to our transport network for getting that to us. This egret had swallowed a massive fishing hook. I mean, you can see there in the photo, it's taking up a good part of her body cavity. But surprisingly, surgery went well, and surprisingly, she's been recovering in no time. Shortly after surgery, she was right back to snapping up fishes. So we're hoping to get her transferred back to ACEs soon. Fingers crossed. We also had a melodious blackbird come in that unfortunately did not make it. And just 2 days ago, we had a collared aracari. Two, I believe, first-time patients here at BWRC, which are rose-throated beckards. You actually might have seen a post from us just this morning about these two. Very cool birds as well. And last but not least, we had the forest department bring in a Morlet's crocodile from Orange Walk Town. This Morlet's did have a huge fishing hook in him as well, but luckily it was rather superficial. He hadn't swallowed it yet. So with some great teamwork and collaboration, the team was able to remove that hook and the crocodile was subsequently released. He did have a slight eye injury as well that took some care. So Great work by the team and great collaboration with the forest department resulted in this animal actually already being returned to the wild. So, best case scenario for us here at BWRC, right? And now I'll hand it over to GM to go over some of our releases for the month of June.
Right. Um, as you may hear, it was a super busy month, but thankfully we managed to release and transfer a couple of these patients as well to our partners. Starting off the month around the 6th, no, the 1st of June, we had um, a couple of possums that were released, and then four more released later this month on the 21st. The narrow bridge moss turtle that came from Belmopan, I did show a picture um, somewhere here.
Such cool looking turtles.
Yeah, really, really nice looking turtle. Um, Nothing much was wrong with him. We managed to release shortly after it came in. The green iguana with that tricky situation being stuck at the, I do have a picture um, here, being stuck at the between the fence from the U.S. embassy and outside. So we kind of were joking about him trying to escape out of the U.S. There, right? So in between borders. Um, but thankfully, they managed to remove him out of the chain link fence, stretch it, and got him out of there. Dr. Isabel checked the iguana when it came in, and everything was good, and we managed to release here by the quick side, which hopefully is a little bit better than the busy Belmopan city. Two Yucatan squirrels managed to be released this week, and then the big boa uh, constrictor that came in also from Belmopan, we released it this month as well. As of transports, we know we transfer a barn owl and two olive-throated parakeets to BBR. That was around the beginning of the month. We did also send over three white-throated Amazon parrots. I think two were fledglings. The gray hawk that we found was sent over to Belize Raptor Center, which have now gone ahead and released that one as well. So yeah, those are some of the release and transfers for the month.
So again, another busy month here at BWRC, but great to see so many animals return to the wild where they belong. All right. Next, just a brief update on our construction progress. And it might not be what you guys are looking for in our wildlife live, but it is extremely exciting to us to see this all happening before our eyes. So construction is going at a really great rate. They're actually ahead of schedule. Um, we're right here in our education building right now again for this live. It's great to have so much more space than the current facilities where we're renting at the moment. And on that note, we actually have an official inauguration coming up for our education slash laboratory building, this one that we're in right now. We're really looking forward to that, getting together with a lot of our important partners and supporters and celebrating this milestone here at BWRC on the 10th of July. And while it is the inauguration this time, we have used this building for everyone from international student groups to primary school students to representatives of different um, very important organizations to conservation here in Belize. So it's been a wonderful upgrade to have, and we really look forward to having our permanent clinic facility finished as well, in addition to this education building. So great progress there.
Exciting stuff. In terms of outreach, we were less busy in terms of school visits than last month, March, I think it was a busy one. But we did have training with the Agua Viva community down on the Hummingbird Highway, where we got 9 new ambassadors. right? So it's a really nice training from the group at Aquaviva. We also had among our various student international groups, we had our SAVE group, so small animal veterinary experience, of which we usually do some community clinics at 7 miles. And there we take advantage to teach people and kind of inform them, do some outreach on different diseases that might affect their pets, but some that are also zoonotic, right? So very nice stuff. And we had, um, well, we also presented about WAP to the um, team that came as well. So thank you very much for that team. It was from the University of Tennessee and the professors from Mercy College.
And very vital support to, keep the wheels turning here at the clinic as well. Um, on the outreach, on the point of outreach activities, we actually do have a workshop coming up Monday, guys. So we'll be doing this workshop next week, Monday and Tuesday, right here in our education building, located between Unitedville and Georgeville. Very close to our current facilities, right across from the Orange Gallery. So if there's anyone that would be interested in joining, if you're an ambassador watching and you have friends who want to get certified as ambassadors, please reach out to us. We have a couple more spaces open as well. So yeah, do let us know. Again, it'll be a 2-day workshop. You get 15 continuing education credits. We do provide lunch, snacks, all of that, and you learn a whole lot about Belize's wildlife and what we can do to protect them, mitigate human wildlife conflict, illegal wildlife trafficking, and further the One Health approach here in Belize. So do reach out.
All right. Another thing we have here on our agenda is a little bit on fire safety. I see one of our question was based on that, and thank you for answering. I saw a couple of answers there. Gonna get to those in a little bit. But very quickly, you might ask, why are we speaking about fire so late in the season, right? The rains finally came come down. And however, last week it was still hot, and we did have a fire very, very close here, just a block away from our new facilities, where we have the classroom and the caretaker house. So it's a bit concerning always to us when the bushfire comes in uh, fast and super close to our facilities. Luckily, it was managed, but bushfires are definitely of concerns both to wildlife and ecosystems here in Belize, just as in other places around the world. Um, every year, a lot of animals and their habitats are affected due to wildfires, and sometimes people cause it. Sometimes people we suspect that this one was caused by someone who set it on fire due to want to hunt in the area. So really concerning, and the repercussions are very high when you do those type of things. And we want to all do our part in trying to prevent these things and let it not be, um, you know, not have humans involved in that. Here at the PWRC, we can see the first-hand effect on wildlife. We've had patients that suffer burns and things like that from wildlife, and especially when you consider how the baby season and the fire season come together, they come hand in hand, So it's really concerning. You do want um, you can help in protecting these animals in small little ways, right? We have a list of things that we want to share there. But just practicing safe fire habits and being careful when you deal with fire, especially if you live around like savanna areas and places where are prone to fires. But here are some quick little tips on fire safety. Um, Number one, never leave fires unattended and be sure to have enough people present for containment if you think it's a bigger fire and it might get out of hand. Avoid burning during dry, windy conditions, right? Do consider the weather, right, to ensure that that spread is not increased. Create fire breaks on a minimum of 6 feet when clearing land. If you do clear land using fire, you do want to create sufficient fire breaks. Always have waters and tools nearby to control flames if it gets out of hand. Report uncontrolled fires immediately to the forest department at 822-1524. So yeah, we can all work together to prevent unnecessary suffering and protect Belize's incredible biodiversity by small little practices that we can do as we deal with fire.
Very good. And just a last snippet. This is an important topic year round. It's not one, well, it's one that we often bring up, but we probably could even mention more because it is a leading cause of both patients here at the clinic as well as tragedies across our country. And that topic is road safety. So, protecting human lives, creating a safer environment for everyone, all of that falls into road safety. And there are some practices that we really recommend that everybody follow in order to stay safe. And yeah, keep their families from keep their families from experiencing tragedy and keep our wildlife alive and well. Road safety is a huge issue here in Belize, and anytime that we drive, we're responsible not only for our own safety, but also those of everyone and everything around you. So you want to be really careful on the road. We want to be vigilant, especially in areas where it might be dark, it might be around a curve, just areas where we can't really know how to predict what's coming all that well. And also areas where wildlife is often seen crossing. So that could be around bridges, around rural areas. There's a great number of those. A key rule would be to expect the unexpected. You never know when something might pop out in front of you. You can always kind of have an expectation of a person or an animal's behavior, but if you're driving, just to avoid any possible incidents, you really want to expect the unexpected. So yeah, even if there aren't any signs on the road, animals might pop out of nowhere. And for both the animal's safety and your own, you want to be cautious about that. I mean, some of these species that we have in Belize are a lot bigger. You're traveling at velocity. If you hit these animals going that speed, the impact can be a lot greater. I don't know the exact physics at work there, but I know that impact increases as velocity increases for sure. So you want to be careful there. Some key rules would be to drive cautiously, expect the unexpected. If you do see wildlife in the road, you want to turn off your high beams or flash them so as to avoid the animal being like a deer in the headlights, just kind of looking at that light and being confused by it and staying in one spot. And yeah, just let's all be very cautious when driving. It can save lives. There's a lot of really great resources out there to teach us how to be more defensive drivers. And I would really urge everyone who's out on the road and responsible for their lives and the lives of others to look into these resources. Very useful stuff, and you can learn a lot on the internet about that as well. And if you do come across injured wildlife on the road, of course, don't hesitate to reach out to us at our hotline at 615-5159 for assistance before trying to intervene, as your safety can be put at risk there as well. So that was just our brief bit on road safety. I think what we might do now is read these trivia answers that we got. So we had Miss Steph Guadalupe comment and say, wait, I lost it there. Her answers were, well, again, the questions were, how does HPAI or highly pathogenic avian influenza spread? And what are 3 guidelines for responsible fire management? Miss Steph Guadalupe, primary school teacher, who is also one of our wildlife heroes, commented and said, for HPAI, it is spread through direct contact with infected birds or contaminated environments. And for responsible fire management, you want to remove dry leaves, twigs, and trash, monitor local weather, and don't burn when wind is strong, and verify burn bans. That's one that we didn't even mention, but also very important. There are permits that you need to get for proper legal burning, so another good point made there. And yeah, thank you. Both of those answers are correct. And then do you want to read the answers from Miss Reyes? Gian?
Sure. She says, number one, through migratory wild birds like waterfowl and seabirds that shed the virus via feces, saliva, and mucus. That is correct. So that is the concern there. Whenever we see wildlife, this is how that would spread to other birds and other animals. Number two, obtain permits and clear fire breaks. Again, the permits super important if you want to do a land clearing through fire, which we discourage, but you do need a permit and you want to have clear fire breaks. Indeed, monitor the weather and the time of the day, like how we mentioned. You don't want to monitor at midday where it's very windy and very hot. Right? Never leave a fire unattended. Of course, you want to keep an eye on it at all times. All right. Those are our answers. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you very much for both responses. Yeah, if you ever come by the clinic, you can always get yourself a little token, some stickers, or shirts.
I think we have a couple of stickers waiting for Miss Reyes at this point. She's answered just about all of our trivia over the past month. So
But she's
great job
very
as well,
busy,
Miss
but
Reyes.
yeah, you're always welcome to Bad Vibe. All right. Well, with that, we're wrapping up almost the end of our uh, segment here, our of wildlife and One Health. We just want to end up saying thanks to everyone who involved. Thank you for watching today. Thank you to all our ambassadors. Thank you to our transporters for wildlife. That is super important. We can't go and can't be everywhere in the country. But there's this group of people who always help out with transportation of animals, which is super, super important. Um, I want to say thanks to our Gillen interns for this year as well. We have Vivian, Ameri, and Natalie who spent a couple of months with us at the clinic. They're finished now, and they actually will graduate soon from the vet tech program at Galen. So good luck to them, and thank you very much for all your help at the clinic. We would do want to thank also Miss Jennifer McKnight, and Craig Hayer, which they are kind of like our permanent volunteers at this point. They come in at least one day a week to help us out at the clinic. Miss Jen is an ex vet tech as well, so she's very helpful with Craig. Uh, he has a ton of experience with wildlife as well, so super great guys. Thank you for your time. Thank you for all that you do. We have a new volunteer, Miss Irene Neal, who's helping us at the clinic currently. We'll see she'll be here for a couple of weeks, I believe. To all our donors and sponsors, our callers and transporters, thank you very much. Chalkwick, thank you for the wonderful furniture that we're using today. Thank you to Belizeing.com who selected us as our benefactors for beneficiaries for their charity program for this year. I think in September, somewhere there, they will have a raffle and they will be donating that to NGOs, which two of them will be BWRC. We also want to thank IFA for a wonderful donation. We're gonna do a post very soon here. The IFA is International Foundation for Animal Welfare, right? And their big where they work at is in emergency preparation. So they donated a whole bunch of they donated some funds for us to get a whole bunch of like safety equipment. So we got helmets, hard hats, safety vests. We got in some fire extinguishers. We got a big generator that could um, keep the clinic going in terms of when we lose power, right? Which is super important to keep our wildlife in here alive and well, right? As well as always carriers, because in the case of emergencies and hurricanes, we need to get all the animals in. And what we in the month of June, actually, we almost run out of carriers there. Uh, so all of them are being used. So we need to have enough to be able to safely house them. And uh, we can take other animals, for example, from Harvest Key and what's not that whenever hurricanes come in, they can use BWRC as a shelter. Right. So thank you very much to the International Foundation for Animal Welfare, IFA.
All right, and thanks again to all of our viewers. That does bring our live for the month of June to a close. Yeah, we'll see you guys next month. Again, if you do want to get involved in our workshop this coming Monday and Tuesday, don't hesitate to reach out to us. And if you have any further questions regarding highly pathogenic avian influenza, African swine fever, or any of the other topics that we talked about today, just send us a message.
All right. Thank you very much and see you next month.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Bye.
Bye.